Okay, Elaine. So remind me where you were before you started Paths of Purpose. What was going on? What were you feeling about life?
Yeah, I was just like miserable. I had a job that just like was not fulfilling in any way. I felt like, you're just like clock watching, you're waiting for the day to end, you live for the weekends. And I didn't know how to fix it. I think that was the biggest thing is I didn't know where to go. I didn't know if this like career I built in the retail industry was right. But I didn't know what would help. And I didn't know like what direction to take. And LinkedIn wasn't helping, nothing was helping.
Why'd you decide to join Paths of Purpose?
I mean, a lot of it was just like talking to you and helping, like being surrounded with other people that feel the same way I do. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't like their job, but people don't really talk about as like that is something they can fix.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being surrounded with like-minded people that want to love their job and know that they deserve that, and are willing to fight for it. And knowing that like, what's going to fulfill you is going to change over time, being comfortable with that idea too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, what really drove me for it.
I love it. How was your experience?
It was so good. I think you always start with like, this is going to be very different than you expect it to be, like limit your expectations. And I didn't expect to stay in the same role or job, but I'm so happy now. And I think one of the things you also say is that like things just change when you're on the journey. And it's so true. Like your energy changes, how you show up to meetings change, and like people notice. And I think that's what ended up changing for me, is that like I was more motivated or more seen. And so I got more opportunities. And then you get to like learn and ask for what you do want in your job, and you start to learn like what makes you happy.
So what would you say were like kind of like the top 3 results that you were walking away with? The top big 3 changes that happened because of Paths of Purpose?
Yeah, I think like tangible changes is that like I got a promotion and a raise, which is so nice, especially in a pandemic, in a retail industry that like, I mean, we struggled through through COVID.
Were you expecting that promotion or raise?
Literally, no. I thought I was getting fired on the call. I was like, oh, we're doing another cut. And it was the opposite. And I was just like almost in tears. I like sent you a little message that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also got someone put under me to train. And that has just been so fun and just like completely new experience. Mm-hmm. And I think like maybe a little less tangible, but like so important is that I just don't go to anyone for advice now. Like I know what I need in any moment. And if I'm struggling with something, like I'll go for a walk and meditate, I'll journal, like maybe I need to go for a run. Like I know what I need to do. And I can bounce ideas off people, but I no longer am just like, tell me what to do. So it feels like when you have control over that, it's just so much more peaceful.
Okay, so aside from feeling so much more peaceful, you said in the beginning before Paths of Purpose, you were in kind of a dark space. You were feeling pretty miserable. You didn't really know what to do. How would you compare? Like, what do you feel now? How like describe sort of generally about how you feel about life right now?
Just in control and motivated. Like I think like everyone's gonna go through times where they love their job, and then maybe it's no longer what they liked, right? And I think knowing that might happen, and then I know how to fix it. Like I know maybe what's off, and I know if it's maybe a time for a transition or not, and it's not something to fear, and it's not something to like worry about. It's just like life's path. I think that's the best part.
Oh, yes. Okay, so for anybody who's watching, Elaine, you came in feeling like you were definitely going to need a new job. You were going to have to kind of blow it all up and like make this big life change. And you stayed. You got a promotion, you got a raise, and you're like managing someone now and super happy with where you are. And that's like some of the that happens all the time. And it's like always kind of the most surprising thing when that happens, when you think you have to get out to feel happy, and then you end up finding a way to live your purpose exactly where you are.
I know. I was like seriously shocked that was going to be my choice. I thought I was even going to like leave the state. Like I was thought my entire life was going to switch from this.
Yeah.
But it's great that like I found it all right here.
Mm-hmm. And it can at any time again, which is exactly
Yeah.
what you just said. Like, you know, you can make any changes you want, but that, you know, that's like the beauty of this work is you just sort of realize like any option is an option, but none of the options are going to actually be the silver bullet or like the magic solution to you feeling in control, feeling peaceful, feeling happy with where you are, right? Okay, final questions. Who would you recommend this program for? Who do you think is right for this program? If somebody's sitting here watching, how should they know if it's for them?
I think that if you know that you don't love your job and you know you're meant for something more, but you just don't know what or how to do it or like where to go. And for me, it was something I thought about every day. You shouldn't think about something like that every day. You can change that. Um, and it doesn't have to be this like nagging thing that just like kind of eats away at you. Mm-hmm. Like you can just like, it's like your body's telling you something's wrong. So you gotta fix it.
Totally. I know. So often we just like we think that's our normal, right? We think it's just normal to like, right? We get so used to it. Okay. And then the final question is, you know, it's obviously an investment. And for a lot of people, this is the first time they're really investing in themselves in this way. I think it's really normal for us to invest in grad school or, you know, something like even therapy, right? But like a coaching program like this is still kind of new. So can you just kind of speak to like what it feels like now that you're a pro at investing in yourself and you've taken this leap multiple times now?
Yeah. I feel like I've also done it all. I've done the therapy thing. I think that your health and your well-being has to be above all. And frankly, personally, I know that like this isn't like true, like you can't claim it's therapy, but I got a lot more out of this than I did with therapy because I mean, this really like because you're working one-on-one through because you've invested more, like you give more, I think. And it's a little bit more results driven, I think, too. So like you're gonna see results because that's kind of like what you signed up for. Totally. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, perfectly. If somebody's scared to make the investment, like what would you say to them?
I mean, I guess I would say you could be miserable or like you could feel a little bit more lost for a couple more years, or you could fix it now. And I know it's scary, but like this is kind of like our time to be making these types of changes.
Never be as young as you are today.
Yeah, exactly.
Any final words of wisdom or words of advice that you want to share?
The only thing I would reiterate is that like when you feel like something's off or wrong, the biggest thing I learned is to make sure you listen to it and don't just ignore it. Mm-hmm. Because totally. It's like a blessing that you're feeling that way, even though you might not feel like it now.
I know, it's so true. Like we think anxiety is just like this. We've been taught, right? That just means there's something wrong with you. It just means there's like literally something wrong with your brain and like you should just ignore it and numb it or whatever. And it's always just our body trying to tell us there's something off, there's something wrong, and that it's time to do something about it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I will say for the first time in my life, the work trauma I had gone through, I am finally like thankful for it. I still feel like those human beings are not the greatest human beings, but like it has made me who I am today, and it has put me on this path. And like to be able to be like thankful for your like past is really important too.
So we don't talk, it's funny, like I talk a little bit about the healing piece of this, but I don't go super in depth. And something that's really common is people come into this program, like almost every single person comes in with some type of work trauma. And I know that's something you and I spend a lot of time talking about. But like, can you talk just a little bit about, you obviously did all of this work to heal from your work trauma so that you could integrate it as something that right? Yeah. You now see as a part of who you are and a part of your journey and a part of your life. Do you want to just speak a little bit to what what healing your work trauma felt like, and did you even know that was a thing before Paths of Purpose, and just kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think when I started, I thought I was like the only person that had gone through something like that. I didn't know that it's super common, and you can really relate to a lot of people on there. And you can like, there's a whole community, and there's a lot of people I messaged about how they went through it too. I think for me, I used yin yoga because I loved that, which is just like a yoga to help release tension in your body. I hold a lot of tension in my shoulders and obviously in your hips too. So that really helped just relax. But I think the biggest piece is just how you talk to yourself in the workday. That was really how I fixed it. Anytime you get an email or something that maybe like triggers you, it's learning that like that trigger is reminding you of this past time, but that's not the current time. And I think just like it took a lot of practice to get there, but there's a whole module on that really just helped me with it. For a long time when I was getting emails from higher ups, I had to take a break and go through the little meditation in there and then come back to it because every little thing was triggering me, and everyone's boss triggers them to some, like even when you have great bosses, like it just happens. So learning, using some of the modules to get through it is what helped me. And now I know if something's gonna like bother me, to just take a step away and then come back.
Totally. I think one of the biggest things I've realized like doing this work for so long now is that like our bosses triggering us is like really just like a portal to our healing. Like every time our boss triggers us, it's like, oh, this is just like this beautiful human who's here in front of me to help me heal my old shit, you know? And it's like, when you see it that way, it's pretty cool, you know, especially because you sort of feel like you can actually use all these moments that used to would have sent you into a spiral, right? To then start healing your old shit. And like, this is like, you are this like walking example of what it looks like to use those moments to heal and to kind of come out the other side feeling how you're feeling, which sounds like good.
And there's this part of the module where you literally write down like all the things you used to say to yourself that when you're in work trauma, I feel like you say it to yourself more often, or maybe you even heard it, and to be able to just write it down and burn it was so great. I loved everything about that.
Love the burn parties. Love the burn parties.
It was really releasing. But also your mantra of I rush for no one, I use that too, because that really, really helps. Just reminding yourself that this is work, and whatever you're working on, I mean, probably is not like actual human life. So
like, unless you're saving babies, you're not saving babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Oh, thanks so much. Okay. Any final words before I turn off the recording?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Of course.